think the process, this work itself, in a way, it's difficult for me to talk about or talk to, because having been involved in the process, and from the very beginning it was a very collaborative process, because we were in contact via Skype about 6 or 7 times, and we emailed. So we did have quite close contact. The final work came together right at the last minute, but it is I think, and to me it does talk about the bits and pieces. It's quite sort of, there's a culmination of things going on here. The audio were interviews that I conducted via video, and then I sent the footage to Keilah, and she and we sort of, the 6 people that I interviewed, I think we sort of both saw those as our avatars, like this, and which it's almost as though we created this space which was between the physical world and the virtual world. It was almost like this in-between space, which was our space together, this collaboration, and then the space of these avatars, who were these 6 people who weren't virtual people, but they weren't physical people anymore, because there was just their voices, and because Keilah edited them as well, the question was gone, and then so after editing the footage and the audio, Keilah sent it back to me, and I started taking more video and stills and sending them back to her. We had this fabulous idea, or Keilah had this fabulous idea about animating stills, but time constraints meant that it just wasn't going to work, and so there was, always working with new stuff, new images, and
So how many times did it go to and fro?
I mean, our contact was ongoing.
No, I mean the actual,
okay, so the interviewing
material, like video or audio, or some, because it seems that you've layered it. You've gone, like, you do this, she does that, you do this, she does that.
Well, 6, 7 times maybe. I feel, and I think it could have gone on. It's almost like this work in progress, really, if we'd had more time.
The point you make about, it becoming autonomous, it doesn't feel like it's quite reached that point. Like, I think that, it would have given different structures. It would have been good to sort of push it further so that it had become maybe more confusing, not so much focus maybe on this scene in Aotearoa Square. Is it Aotearoa Square? Yeah. That seems to be the context into which everything else interjects. So it becomes the primary site as opposed to the primary site being the video. I think you need to override that a little bit more for that to happen.
The primary site being the video, I've got a fly in my face.
So.
I think that the primary, I don't know about site, but the video, it was the audio. That's where it began. I mean, that's what, the dialogue, the questioning, because, so where we started was Keilah's initial email to me about the notion of, I think I swallowed this. I think it just nailed it.
Was it a virtual bug or a?
It was a real one. yeah, it was about how we edit ourselves, like the notions of avatar as our alter ego, and that alter ego is parts of ourselves which say we suppress. Or so even though I had other ideas about how this collaboration would go, we ran with this original email and Keilah's ideas, and it was great. I mean, it did unfold. However, really the primary was the audio, was the answers, and that became a problem at the end when we ran out of time, and we had 3 minutes of audio to work with. So
did you feel like you filled it in with video? You weren't comfortable with just having the audio?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that was something that, had we been closer, like towards the end, I just wanted to be sitting beside her at the, in an editing program, working together. Like, it was very challenging working on separate sides of the world, and I'm sure Keilah felt the same, and through our contact. And so, yes, perhaps that was because when we added things like, say, Keilah put in the text, the questions, and then animated a couple of pictures, and then there was all this blank space, and then sent it back, I was like, okay, what now? And then when I did something and sent it back, it was like, hey, oh my God, what now? Into your markets. Yeah, it was sort of that, exactly. I did,
because that seems to me like it is in direct conflict with the original idea, which was to create what was it again about the avatar, online, the alter ego, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Why the markets? What has that got to do with that? Or did you want to divert our attention?
No, for me it was like an interactive space where people were interacting, and I had taken footage of people up close, and but it was footage in a private space. I couldn't use it on YouTube, and I discussed that with James as to how we could lock it so that other people wouldn't view it, because again, and again, using the footage from the interviews as well, there was these privacy issues, these how exposed people are. Like, this is a virtual space, YouTube is a virtual space, but those people are real and their identities are real in the physical world. So there was sort of, and the idea of your virtual person, like online, being anonymous. These people aren't anonymous, like they're real people in my world too. Like, so the market space scene was a public space. That footage was, all those people are anonymous to both me and to Keilah, and I could use that footage. But yeah, it was a fill-in. I mean, in a way, it was just a way to fill up space.
Right.
But there was interaction. To me, there were some moments in it that showed an emotional kind of connection, or
I think I would have got the idea of it more if you'd used a virtual body that was created on a, I know it's a bit, naff and maybe a bit too obvious, but a buxom blonde and that sort of thing,
I started sort of referring back to the title, which I think is quite leading and quite important. Yet I sort of feel like probably the end product falls a little short of that, but what the title points me to is this notion of editing ourselves, and this sort of wordplay between video editing and editing ourselves. And I feel that the subject matter's got in the way in the video, and that I can't get to the structural notion of editing and be conscious of that within the video as the metaphor for the construction of identity. It's just that, video very easily lends itself to being descriptive of what you're pointing the camera at, and perhaps you need to look at ways of getting rid of that descriptive content so that it becomes more about the act of editing, and we can be aware of that.